find content about park travel as well as living a healthy lifestyle. If you're interested in those two subjects, I would invite you to subscribe to our channel. My name is Kay, and this is the Healthy Lifestyle Show. On this show, I want to offer you encouragement to live the life you love. Today is Thriving Thursday. I am not a lifestyle coach, nor do I have any training to be one, but Thriving Thursday is about you thriving. I'm just an average 40-something lady who cares about people. Probably care a little more than I should sometimes, but that is another topic for another day. I know that people need a team to be able to thrive. Doing it alone is called surviving, and I want you to thrive. Today, I have a very special guest with me to help you thrive. We are going to get to talk to Nicole McDonald from momsavesmoney.net. Nicole McDonald is a busy mom of 3 kids and blogs at www.momsavesmoney.net and is the author of The Extraordinary Art Money Saving Series. She teaches coupons, meal planning, budgeting, and blogging classes in the Omaha, Nebraska area. Welcome, Nicole. It is great to have you here today.
Thank you for having me, Kay.
Yeah, it's great. So I met Nicole back in June of 2019 at the Midwest Travel Conference. She has puppies at her house.
2 of them.
2 of them. Well, they're just going to talk to us the whole time, aren't they? That would be great. And a mailman. No, I'm kidding.
They're protecting me from the mailman, the FedEx guy, all of them.
Oh, well, that's good. It's good to have those protectors at home. So I met Nicole back in June at the Midwest Travel Conference. And well, I think I saved her from being abandoned in Theodore Roosevelt National Park.
You did. You did.
And that is a story for another day. But it was exciting to get to meet Nicole back then. Oh, dear. That's a big, mean mailman.
We had a contractor drive by. Okay, I think they're done.
Okay. Well, you know, that's what you do when you work at home. I get it. I get it completely. And I'm glad that you could be here today. We're going to talk a little bit about something I know nothing about today, and that's budgeting for a family. And you got started blogging back in 2009, if I read your blog correctly. Was there something that got you into budgeting and blogging for a family? Was there a specific impetus there?
So at the time I had just finished up a master's of business program. I was using my GI Bill from my veteran benefits. Mm-hmm. And I was also a stay-at-home mom. And I had a 2.5-year-old and a brand new baby at home. And I just felt, it was a very busy time. Mm-hmm. I just felt like I needed something for me. And I really wanted to help with the family finances. And one of my skill sets that I had learned during this time being a stay-at-home mom is how to coupon, how to meal plan. I'd already been budgeting for years. I was actually trained by the Navy how to be a financial counselor for our service members. Mm-hmm. So I came across another blogger, and she had an article that said, you can blog for free and make money. And I thought, okay, there's zero risk, zero investment. Why not? And so I started talking about those topics, and it's kind of evolved throughout the years.
Awesome. Well, that's kind of the way I got started YouTubing. So, hey, you can do it for free, and people want you to put stuff out there. So that's awesome. So do you have tips well, I know you have tips, but what would be some tips for people who want to get started on forming a family budget? And, you know, I've never done this before. And, oh my gosh, I got kids at home and I don't know what to do. So what would be something that would just get them started?
So a budget is really important for individuals, families, couples, anybody should budget. And it's not about living a restricted lifestyle. It's about living the life that you want to and spending your money with intention. So you can enjoy the things that are truly important to you, whether that's travel or, experiences, that kind of thing. Or if you just want to live debt-free for the rest of your life, That's what a budget is for, so that you can live the life you want. So when you first start, there's a couple things that need to happen. First of all, you need to set a money date with anyone in your family who also uses the money. So if you and your spouse or your significant other have joint finances, they need to be on board with this process, or it's going to get very, very frustrating, and you're probably going to have some arguments over it. So that discussion needs to happen in just a very non-judgmental, let's make this happen kind of way. The second thing that you're going to need to do, well, there's a couple. You need to know, one, how much money you have to work with, and two, where your money is currently going. And so what I challenge people as they start this budgeting process is start tracking every penny. Write it down, figure out how much you're spending on coffee, groceries, eating out, clothing, whatever it is you purchase. You need to know where your money is currently going so you can set up a budget and a plan that is going to work for your family. So for example, let's say you don't really know how much you spend on groceries every month, and you think, well, Nicole, she can spend $500 a month for her family of 5 on groceries. I'm going to do that too. But you're currently spending close to $1,000. It's going to get really, really tough towards the end of the month to stay on that budget that you've set for yourself. So if you know where you're starting, you can adjust your budget accordingly. And I'm not saying you can't make cuts in your grocery budget later on, but you need to kind of know where you're at so your budget's realistic. And that's the thing I see a lot. And one of the biggest reasons people will fail with a budget is because it's not realistic for their family, or they don't think about all the other things that could come up that they spend on a regular basis.
Certainly, that makes so much sense. Well, well, to me, because Matt and I, your money budget, I spend a lot of time talking about calories. We talk a lot about food here on the Healthy Lifestyle Show. And so I always tell people, if you want to start and figure out how to either lose weight or gain weight or manage your nutrients, you have to know how much you're taking in and how much is going out. So that's exactly the same mindset. And you said that you really wanted to talk about that budgeting mindset. And I loved something you just said. Set a money date. What was it? Was that right?
Yeah.
A money date. That's fun. So
on a regular basis. So it's not just a one and done. Okay. This should be a date you have with your spouse pretty frequently at the beginning, so you can talk about, hey, this is working. Hey, this is not. I'm struggling, and work through it together. Right. And then at least once a month, reassess, look at that monthly budget and say, hey, is this working for us? Can we adjust things? Can we spend less here? Or, the other thing I highly recommend as a couple, or just as yourself, if it's just you managing money, is set some financial goals. Have a reason for why you're putting in the work to budget, whether it be, I want to pay cash for a family vacation. I want to pay off our debt. I want to buy a new car in cash. I want to pay off our house. I want to fund my retirement or my kids' college funds. And you can have multiple goals, but set those, look at how much you're going to need, and start working towards those. And I think that helps a lot with motivation. If sure, this is my goal and this is how I'm going to get there. And Kay, I'm really glad you brought up weight loss and calories, because it pertains to budgeting as well in a weird analogy way. Okay. So stick with me here. Okay. But the concept for losing weight or gaining weight is really, really simple, right? If you want to lose weight, you eat less, exercise more. Your numbers simple. Have to simple. The concept, super simple, like just say no to cake, right?
Right.
That's or Oreos for me. Well, budgeting's the same. The number part of it, where you sit down and you figure out your income and your expenses, that is really the simple part of this whole process. The hard part is the day-to-day going, okay, we've set a budget, but I really want this, but I should say no. It's not a need. So the same with when you're trying to lose weight, you're like, okay, I have this goal, but there's chocolate cake that I really, really want, and it's just that day to day going, okay, this is why I'm saying no to this today. And this is why I'm staying on budget. I'm making coffee at home. I'm, making food at home, those kind of things. Because the concept, how to do it, is simple. It really is that day to day staying motivated and, making sure you're making those smart choices every day. And that can be really hard.
Yes.
Very tough.
I agree. Well, Matt and I have had a budget forever. I mean, we've been married almost 20 years, and we have had a family budget. We've tried different ways of doing things, and we still write things down in our checkbook. Mm-hmm. We still have the check register. We used to do it on computer, and then we realized that we weren't looking at it. So that was a big thing, was when you actually say, okay, I spent $95.86 at the grocery store yesterday. Mm-hmm. That has to get us through, so many weeks. It makes a big difference when you write down that number, and mm-hmm. makes a big difference when you write down those calories that you put in. So you mentioned recipes, and we love food. We have a whole day. Tomorrow will be Foodie Friday. So we have a whole day of food, but every day we end up talking about food most of the time on the Healthy Lifestyle Show. But and I noticed on your blog, and do you mind if I show your blog, because that would be super fun?
Go ahead.
Okay, so yes, Mom Saves Money. There we are. We have food, and you talked about cooking at home, and you have lots of recipes. That's very mm-hmm. cool. And so you talked about cooking at home. Now, is that a huge part of your budget, or about your budgeting? Because that's a big thing for us. Like $95 for 2 people to eat out is 3 meals if you go to pretty cheap places and drink water. So in my mind, eating at home and cooking is really, really good. Is that a big thing for you as well?
Yeah, so I can kind of tell you a little bit about my story and how I really started becoming passionate about meal planning. So my blog actually started as more of a couponing blog, since it started during the recession, a few years before the Extreme Couponing Show came out. But that was really when couponing started getting very popular. Mm-hmm. And I was saving money left and right with couponing. But then I realized that I was still running to the store for forgotten meal ingredients and then buying a whole bunch of other stuff. And I thought, well, how can I really cut my grocery budget even more? And honestly, for us, and I believe for any family, the biggest thing you can do for your grocery budget is to shop with intention and to buy things that you need for your meal plan.
Gotcha.
I recently read an article that, the average family of 4 throws out $1,500 worth of food every year. And that's food waste. That's huge. That's like over $100 a month. And that can be a significant amount for most families. And so if you have a meal plan and you create a shopping list based on that meal plan, mm-hmm. and you buy items at the grocery store with a purpose, you have intent to cook them, you are going to waste less food. The other thing it does is if you meal plan for, let's say, an entire 7 to 10 days, I usually do about 7 days, mm-hmm. And you can cut your grocery trips to once a week or once every 10 days, that will save you money, because most people impulse shop. Have you ever gone to the store and you go, oh, I forgot something and I just need this one item? Nobody leaves with one item. And if you do, you're like some genius, because I can never leave with one item. And pretty much everyone I know buys a whole bunch of extra stuff right. every time we go to the grocery store. So just that practice of shopping with intention, buying your produce with intention, so knowing what meals or snacks it will be during that week, that alone has saved us more money than couponing or anything else I have done for the family, because that's something you have to eat.
Mhm.
And if you're eating out less, you're using all the food in your refrigerator, you're cooking at home, all of those things add up in a huge way. Like you said, for you guys, that's your week-long groceries is 3 meals.
Sure. And yeah, week long. Yeah, that's when we quit going out to eat, because Matt was a student and I was a full-time teacher living more than an hour from home. So we'd get home and we'd both be like, okay, can't do this. And we just got to eat. Even though we didn't have the money to do it, because I was a teacher spending a lot of money on gas and he was a grad student. So there was no money to be had.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a big thing for us. I do want to point out, ladies and gentlemen, that Nicole has wonderful books. And if you're interested in the extraordinary art of meal planning, you can find this on her blog, and the links will be below in the descriptions. And she has one for budgeting as well. And is that it? Couponing right down there. So there we go. And I would love to have you all check those out. She would love to have you check those out.
Yeah.
And she would really, well, tell her what you think about it on her blog. If you try any of those recipes, you know how you come back and make comments for me on our videos. Please make sure that you check out her blog and make comments on the blog, because that will let her know that she has some engagement. And tell her you found her on Happy Trails Hiking, of course. So, let's see. We talk a lot about goals, and you mentioned goals earlier. How important are, like, we talked about budgeting for food and things like that. How important are those goals? Like, hey, I want to go on a trip, or hey, I want to go, I want to buy my kid this gift for Christmas, or I want to do that. How is that like major important? And can you talk a little bit about that for a second?
Yeah, goals are really important, especially for something like this, because there is a struggle day to day. I mean, there are temptations to go over your budget, or to throw extra stuff in your cart at the grocery store, or, to say, let's just go eat out. So having those goals and knowing, like, I need to say no because, we want to pay off debt, or we want to travel, or, we need to build an emergency fund, which is something I didn't address, Kay, but families who are just starting to budget, they need to have an emergency fund, especially if their goal is to pay off debt.
Yes.
And I recommend at least $1,000 up to about 3 to 6 months of living expenses. But start with $1,000, because what'll happen is, if you're paying off debt and then an emergency happens, you just recharge stuff, and then it's this never ending process. So if you have that money set aside for emergencies only, that's going to help you get to your goal.
So is this a savings account, or is it, I mean, 3 to 6 months of salary is a big chunk of money. So do you just make a specific savings account and say, we're just not going to touch that? Or is that how that works? Or,
well, not, yeah, and not 3 to 6 months of salary, but 3 to 6 months of living expenses.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yep. So what you would need to survive, because, if you lose a job, if you have a tragedy where you need to take time off work, those kind of things, it gives your family a cushion. And I would recommend putting it in, a low risk, like a high yield savings account, something where it's not as tempting to use. I would not leave it in your checking account, because you don't really earn anything with that. Some people use, their financial advisor can set them up with higher yield funds, investment funds as well, where the money can be withdrawn at any point in time if you want to earn a little bit higher yield. So it depends on what you're comfortable with for investing, and what is best for your family. But that $1,000 should be in, your savings account, so that you can access it at any time, but not to access for fun. It is for emergency. That's the key.
Right. I have this $1,000. We made $1,000. Yay! Let's go do whatever. We're gonna go bowling an extra 5 times this. Anyway, so
Whatever.
right, whatever. Yeah. So when we talk about goals here on the Healthy Lifestyle Show, we often talk about durations for them. You know, they need to be time bound. And so saying once you have that $1,000 in emergency funds or whatever, 3 to 6 months of expenses covered, the next goal then is to get this thing that I want to do. How, like, where are some of the best places that people could look at their own budgets and go, okay, I can cut from here without feeling it too much as our, from our family lifestyle, without changing my lifestyle, because change is hard. And that's one thing we talk about a lot, is that change is hard, and that, we want, I want to be beautiful and skinny and strong and all this stuff, but I don't want to work out and I don't want to skip the chocolate cake and all that stuff. So where is a good spot to, cut dessert, as they say, or something that someone would, a good place to start to cut their budget?
So there's two things you can do with your budget. Is you can either increase income or decrease expenses.
Sure.
So, and one thing I want to mention, because it is hard the day to day, but if you're in credit card debt, there is a reason, and you need to be brutally honest with yourself and really take a look at why that happened in the first place, because those are behaviors and spending habits that if you don't change, it's not going to get any better. And that's kind of the harsh reality of it is, if you look at your income versus what you're currently spending, and if your expenses exceed your income, that's an emergency situation, because it will never get better unless you make those changes. You will not ever get out of debt. In fact, it will just continue to get worse. And so I, tell people, if that's where you're at, you need to either increase income, take a part-time job, find a side gig like we have, or decrease expenses. One of the biggest expense for a lot of families that is what I consider a variable expense is food and eating out.
Sure.
And there's a lot you can do with food and meals on the cheap, as I call them.
Yes.
And they're healthy too. Like, you can eat healthy and still have a very good grocery budget too. So it's not like eating junk food. You can eat well on a budget. I really believe that.
Matt and I are both on different nutrition plans. So I'm doing low saturated fat and he's doing low carb. So totally, completely different, but we still save money when I cook. Even if I'm cooking 2 separate meals, I still save money over going out to eat or going, and grabbing something at a convenience food in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Still making recipes, eating whole foods. We talk about that all the time. So yeah, I totally understand. I want to go back to credit card debt for just a minute. You said it was an emergency situation. So if someone has credit card debt, that's probably the first place that they want to throw any extra money that they have, correct?
Yes, because your interest rates are going to be very high and you're never going to earn investment money that high. So you're just losing money every month.
Exactly. Okay. That totally makes sense in my mind. I know that some people, like when I graduated from college, my parents were like, okay, you're going to get a credit card for emergency purposes. And I did really well. I didn't spend money on it. I got married a year after I got out of college, or the school year after I got out of college. I was a school teacher, so that's where my brain was. But and I got married with $47 to my name, but I put 0 on the credit card. So I was thrilled about that, because I was like, okay, I didn't screw it up too much. But that was debt that Matt and I didn't have to pay off when we got all the student loans all accounted for and things like that. So if someone has what they would feel like insurmountable credit card debt, do you have tips for starting to get rid of that, or is that not? I haven't read the books yet. Sorry, but is that something that you cover in your books already or blogs?
Well, for when you have a ton of credit card debt, it still comes down to a budget. You have to get that under control before you can really start, getting rid of that credit card debt. You have to know where your money is, where it's going, and what's coming in. So obviously there's an issue there. If the credit card debt keeps climbing, that just means you're spending more than you're making. So you have to kind of bring it back in. One thing that is pretty extreme that if you're having trouble stopping the spending habits, and my husband and I did this maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we did an entire month-long spending freeze where we didn't buy anything except absolute essentials for an entire month. So that the only thing we allowed were fresh produce and dairy products, diapers because we had children, and and toilet paper because that's an essential too. And we did a whole month just to basically, it's kind of like when you do some of the health resets where you just do the cleanses or whatever that they have. It's a budgeting reset where you're like, I'm going to stop my habits, and it gives me a full 30 days to start a new habit and to see what life is like without shopping, without spending money, without going through the drive-through, without buying, lattes at the coffee store. And it's kind of extreme.
Wow.
But for us, I did it and I felt like it changed like how I spent money from that point on, because I'm like, I don't need to go couponing and getting all the deals 2 or 3 times a week. I can go once a week or, even once every 2 weeks. I don't need to buy coffee. I don't need to go out. So it really just helped us, know that it's okay to not spend, and it's okay. I've actually had more time in my day.
Wow. Yeah.
So
it's like going cold turkey.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, you're going cold turkey. You're just
cold turkey.
Done. Wow. Yeah, I can't imagine. Look, I go to the store highly too much, and we talked about groceries a few weeks ago, and going to the grocery store, and that, the average person spends 45 minutes in the grocery store, even if they only have one thing to buy, kind of thing. I love looking at food. They have a clearance rack. It's great. Oh, wait, no. So yeah, spending freeze. That would be like a hard reset. That'd be like, boom. Yeah, we don't have to, we're not going to do this for a whole entire month, and we don't have to do this. And that's awesome. That's a great idea. Oh my goodness.
It's tough. Even if you do it, if it's too much to do it if your spending issues are on the weekend, just have spending freezes on the weekends. You don't have to do a month. You can do a week or 2 weeks or weekends only.
Yeah. They say
just to give yourself some room.
It takes 14 to 21 days to create a habit. So that's a interesting new habit. And it, I guess, really helped you or would help me to know what I didn't need, and it's neat that you found out that you have more time in the day. That's my biggest commodity right there. So anyway, we're about out of time. Oh my goodness. This one, I like that. So is there anything else that you would like to have viewers know about momsavesmoney.net or anything else that you would like to share?
Well, I do have a bunch of different meal plans on my website. If you're looking to start meal planning, we do 4 weeks set for you with easy recipes. We have everything from the monthly one to Weight Watchers to slow cooker, Instant Pot. So whatever you can think of, we can help you get meal planning. And if you want more information on some of these topics, the books I've written are really, really helpful and dive in depth with some of these topics. So I'd love to hear some, success that you've had with budgeting and meal planning and how it's changed your life as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today, Nicole. This has been
Kay.
Awesome. You're welcome. Oh, it's so good to see you again too. It's nice when I can meet my new friends online this way.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. For those of you who are watching, all of Nicole's descriptions and websites, Pinterest, all that stuff will be down in the description. Please make sure to go and follow her and follow her blog and let her know that you came from Happy Trails Hiking. Nicole, if you'll hang out, I'm going to close out the show really quick. Thank you all for being here today. I want you to do 3 things for me. One is to share this information with someone who might be interested in it. You know some other budgeting families out there, I am sure. 2, I would love for you to go out and live the life you love today. And 3, remember, you are not replaceable. Until next time, have a great day, guys. Thanks.